so she could be.
Call this meeting of the Evendale Village Council to order, and we will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The clerk will take the roll.
Ms. Smiley Robertson.
Here.
Mr. Putoff.
Here.
Mr. Sextro.
Here.
Mr. Schaefer. Oh, I'm sorry. I got an old form. That looked weird.
Whoa.
Ms. McDaniel. Here. Mr. Albrecht.
Here.
And Mr. Burke.
We will begin with a public hearing relative to, for the preliminary tax budget for year 2024. Is there anyone here which is to discuss that? I know everybody here, but if not, that will conclude the public hearing. So that will take us to the consent calendar. First item is the minutes have been previously distributed of the last council meeting. Are there any additions, corrections, or changes? May I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Mr. Sextro.
Yes.
Mr. Putoff.
Yes.
Ms. Smiley Robertson.
Yes.
Ms. McDaniel. Yes. Mr. Albrecht.
Yes.
Mr. Burke is excused tonight. He is in Chicago. He's attending his last meeting of the Midwest American Heart Association tonight, and he's being honored as part of that situation. And so he is excused tonight to go to Chicago. Then he's going to Alaska. That will bring us to committee reports, and we will begin with Councilman Albrecht.
Mayor, another strong month in May. Tax receipts for the month were up year over year from last year by 191,000. Total receipts in May were 1.9 million. Tax receipts for May are total year-to-date revenues are up by about $2.5 million. So very strong financial beginning of the year. Also, the audit is still underway. They have been here, reviewed our books. They've returned to Columbus or from wherever they come. And we're expecting a positive result. Everything went smoothly. No concerns there, but so they've concluded their work here and they're just wrapping things up. Regarding the rec department, this pickleball courts, I know a lot of people are interested in wondering when those are going to be ready. We've watched it slowly come out of the earth. We're still a few weeks away. There's been a few hiccups, but hopefully by early July, the pickleball courts will be up and running, or up and available. Men's softball is underway. There's 7 teams this year, a little bit down from prior years. Also, the Fun in the Sun continues to be just a big hit, consistent with last year. There are 62 Sunbeams, which are the 3 to 6 year olds, and 142 Fun Shines, which are the 1st to 8th graders. So that's very consistent with prior years. Service department, the big news are just we've been waiting for the numbers from the shred day. Last year, we exceeded last year's total, had a total of 25 tons dropped off during that Saturday, so which was phenomenal. And because of the need or the anticipation of the volume, we've already scheduled shred day for next year. It's a little early, but mark your calendars. For those who rely on it every year, it's April 20th of next year. So get it on your calendar and start cleaning out the basement even more. Also, a lot of, every year we see a lot of trees that die along the streets. We will be replacing 66 trees in the coming weeks. The dying trees along Glendale, Milford, Cooper, Reading Road, were removed last winter, and those trees will hopefully be replaced soon. And
By the way, I saw an article, Mr. Jeffers, on TV the other night. It was a automated tree planter, and they claimed they could plant a couple of acres in 2 hours or 3 hours with this thing. You see those? Yeah. Just thought you might want to know about.
Can't necessarily do that here with utilities, but it is.
Ah, yes. Okay.
Mayor, I regret saying that we were doing well financially, if that's what.
All right.
Last report, Gorman Farm. Summer camp is off to a great start. They're fully booked and just doing well with the camps. Row-by-row tickets are on sale now, and that is is it the 26th of August? I believe.
I believe the 26th.
End of August. So get your tickets now. It's always a great evening. And lastly, the farm is finally retiring a 20-plus year piece of equipment, and they've replaced it with a new Kubota, or not new to them, 2007 Kubota tracker that we were able to find. Only had 800 hours on it, so it was a nice find for them, and hopefully they get 20, 25 more years out of that one. So that's all I have, Mayor.
And the old tractor will be on the Hamilton County website if anybody out there wants to buy an old tractor.
It's got a few leaks.
For someone who wants a project.
There you
You
go.
have to have your repair guy on speed dial.
Yep.
Any questions or additions or so forth? Okay, now we'll go to police and fire. Madam Councilperson.
Okay, let me start with fire, a couple of personnel things. If you remember, last year, we did some accelerated hiring processes or doing some things differently. So we hired a firefighter EMT, and we have that as an ordinance that he has successfully completed the paramedic training, and so he'll be promoted to firefighter paramedic. So just one of those things we did to get people in has worked for us.
And that's on the agenda tonight.
It's on the agenda, yes. Okay. Also, we're going to have a hiring committee for promotions on the 19th. We have 3 candidates for promotions to captain, 4 candidates to be interviewed for promotions to lieutenant. Now, we're identifying who these candidates are going to be. We expect to have retirements early next year, and so we will once be ahead of the game versus losing someone and then trying to recover. But that's what we'll be doing there. Also, from a capital perspective, that we're moving forward with some new overhead doors, and a little more expensive than we thought, but we're handling that. I guess sticking with the whole capital thing, let me go to police. Where we had a couple of cruisers damaged and one was totaled, well, now the second one has been totaled, and it's a little bit challenging at this point to get a second cruiser in, so we're gonna keep an Explorer in service another year and instead go with a detective car. We're also, the chief is also looking at cost-benefit analysis of when we actually purchase vehicles. You know, can we, we're gonna first of all look at the value we get out of a Tahoes versus Explorers and see how that comes. And then there's I guess, we're gonna see if we can sell sooner and recoup more of the value, because it's taken us about $60,000 to outfit a cruiser in its entirety, fully equip a cruiser now, but it's possible maybe to, if we go sooner, if we get rid of a cruiser sooner, that we could get $30,000 for it and limit our cost for a cruiser. So Chief is doing a cost-benefit analysis on that for us. The flock policy, I want to say, is nearly completed, and it continues, those cameras continue to be useful in solving crimes. We used the road rage incident that we were able to, the department was able to identify, you know, the culprit in the truck incident, and in the car break-in, you were able to identify there. So it continues to be useful in crime fighting, which is what we want the flock cameras for. Building planning and zoning, we don't have any ordinances before us except for, I think there's one for general tool. And they have submitted revised plans, and that's gonna be coming before Planning Commission and CIC later this month. Another new businesses are coming in. There's Anchor Wellness open in Village Crossings, and it's facing the hospital. So from a permit perspective, we got 9 new permits in May. We issued 19. The 19 we issued have a construction cost value of over $6 million. GE submitted one that was over $5 million, you know, as well. So code enforcement, I mean, this is the time of the year when grass gets high. Our building planning zoning managers keeping on top of that and issuing citations if necessary. And there are a couple of sites that you may have noticed in the, I'm going to say the wrong one. No, it's still Village Crossings. That you may have noticed some high grass, but in contacting the owners, they took care of that right away. So we're getting more cooperation there from owners. We've had some incidents with pop-up car shows, and there are permits required, and the police department has gone through and contacted. We had one, I think, in Crossings, and then there was one that was attempted also in Gold Star, but upon finding out that permits were required, the shows went away. But the message is you can't just do what you want. Permits are generally required to do things here in the village. Evendale Plaza has a number of new businesses in it, and a church is in there. And so we're having a lot of activity. That's a good news. Cultural arts, if I can go there. The fine arts exhibit, the attendance was at pre-COVID attendance levels, and the event was back in the Flex Room, so it was very successful. Summer camp started last week, I think it was, and we have like 90% occupancy in both buildings for the summer. Art venture to the Red Wolf Sanctuary was really well received and very entertaining to those who went. This month's art venture is to the Allwood Audubon Park. And the big art party, mark your calendars for August 4th. And the featured artist is C.F. Payne. And program manager, we received 17 applicants for the position, 15 of which we feel like are highly qualified. Interviews are going on this week.
Any questions, comments?
I
Yes.
remind everyone about the fire department's chili lunch.
Yes.
Yeah, tomorrow.
Chili luncheon tomorrow.
Bring your appetite.
Bring your appetite.
Any others? Okay, I have a few things. I report that the Charter Committee met since the last council meeting, and we have submitted a report to the clerk. After review, there is a recommendation of no charter amendments to be put on the ballot in November. We discussed one of them, or one thought, of whether council should be allowed to vote by Zoom or team accounts, but the feeling of the committee was that this might be a little premature at this time, and so we thought we'd let that go for a year and see how that's working out for some other community, for anybody else adopts it. So that was submitted duly to the clerk. Remember, July 5th, next week, or next month, is our pre-council meetings, the 4th of July, Tuesday, so it'll be on a Wednesday, just so you mark your calendars accordingly. I had occasion to attend the 174th Air Defense Artillery Regiment, had a call to duty at Landmark Church this month. It's a very interesting organization. They go to Washington, D.C. for a year, and they have the possibility of defense of the U.S. Capitol. The captain told me that in discussions, they have some of the most advanced air defense systems that exist in the military capability, which you can understand in Washington, D.C. And so they're off for a month to be up there. Also, you are going to have, or as we discussed at the pre-council meetings, we're going to have the construction management review of the application for the new service building on the campus, and but we need 3 people to be the review of that committee, or of that proposal, and I have appointed myself, James Jeffords, and Councilman Burke to that committee for the review of when they come in. What it is, in case you don't remember, they will select, first is to look at qualifiers, who is qualified to build the project. And then a price is set, and you can go ahead with the project, and it should speed up quite a bit for our projects to be able to get going. It's all been it's passed by the General Assembly, and it should be perfectly legal, I think, perfectly legal. And it's being used by more and more communities around us as they proceed with buildings and construction projects. Also, pleased to announce that Sports Plus in Evendale has been sold as of Monday. It is now the property of the Cincinnati Cyclones, and it will be used as a practice training facility for the Cincinnati Cyclones. Councilman Putoff tells me they're already changing the locks, getting stuff together.
Doing some more.
Getting stuff together. And I think it's a plus for the village of Evendale in that we've had some incidents occur at the existing facility. And they say they're going to spend a good bit of money, won't be tomorrow, but a good bit of money on the facility to bring it up to code and up to date and so forth and so on. The state legislature has passed, state Senate has passed the budget for next year, and in it are a couple of interesting provisions. I'm being told that it is the capital budget, or not the capital budget, the general revenue budget passed by the Senate is going to be the budget, and is not going to a reconciliation committee. That'll be a first. That will be a first for them to do that. Also, that budget took out all of the capital items that were put in by the House. we had hoped to put in a capital item for our elevator in the, at the Cultural Arts Center. However, I am also told that coming behind this budget is going to be a sub-capital budget. And it's going to include all of the capital requests that were taken out of the House and left out in the Senate. So we will see how this goes and whether it has fruit and whether we're lucky enough. Senator Blessing has indicated he will try very hard to get our Cultural Arts Center elevator into that budget, and we'll see what happens. I'm concerned about the timing because they will not pass the budget till maybe next week. Then at the end of July, first part, they will go home for the summer, and that means that this will not get hearings until the fall. I'm concerned about the timing of the situation and what happens, but we will see. Also, an interesting item in the budget put in by the Senate, so it's going to stay, is that a business can designate where the municipal income tax will be collected, which means that for people working for home doesn't necessarily mean that they'll pay the income tax from their residence. It means that if the business says your home is in our factory or our place of business, that's where the tax is going to be collected. We understand one of our major taxpayers currently is collecting taxes on everybody that they pay income to. And that should make that a little bit better and easier for them in the situation. We'll see what happens with it as it goes along. The final thing is that we've been notified by the union that General Electric may go on strike, and that would occur on July the 5th, if it occurs. They still have some weeks for negotiations, and I've been told they have a negotiation tomorrow and so forth, and we'll see what happens. I know we all hope that they work it out and do not go on strike. It'll be in the best interest of Evendale and the best interest of everybody, but the union has the right to do that, and we will see what happens. So that's the extent of my discussion. Any questions? Okay, let's go to the ordinances then. First ordinance is 23-31, and I request permission to read it by title only.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Albrecht?
Yes.
Mr. Sextro?
Yes.
Mr. Putoff?
Yes.
Ms. McDaniel?
Yes.
Ms. Smiley Robertson?
Yes.
May I have a motion to suspend the second and third reading of the ordinance?
You have to read the title.
Oh, yes, we all read the title.
So moved.
Wait a minute. I'm slow. An ordinance amending Chapter 666, sex-related offenders, to add Section 66.23, proximity of sex offender residents to schools and certain other properties, and declaring as an emergency. Chief, would you care to comment a little bit on this? And
Thanks, Mayor. Just to give you folks some context on how this came about, going back a little bit over a week ago, we had a homeless gentleman set up camp on village grounds behind the Cultural Arts Center. Well, he did it at night, and Evendale already has existing restrictions saying that you can't be on the property between 11 at night and 4 in the morning. And when we went to address that with him, and we're doing just a typical investigative inquiry, we found out he was a sex offender from out of Michigan. He would then have an obligation as any sex offender within 3 days of coming to Hamilton County to register with the sheriff's office. Well, one of the provisions of the Ohio Revised Code allows a homeless person that's a sex offender to register a generic address, like the nearest municipal building, the nearest library, the nearest post office, and establish that as his address. And when I talked to the prosecutor's office, there would have been nothing to prohibit him from setting up his address as a sex offender within 1,000 feet of this complex. So we looked at some other ordinances, talked to the prosecutor's office, talked to Kathy, and a number of local jurisdictions, including Reading, just to our south, established their own sex offender registry. And what this does, it says, hey, these certain places, like a rec center because children's events take place here, Evendale Elementary because it's a school, St. Rita, Landmark, daycares, that Evendale can pass an ordinance that says you cannot establish a residence as a sex offender within 1,000 feet of any of those locations. So work with Kathy to draft that ordinance, and what goes along with that is after this ordinance is then passed, we will notify the sheriff's office sex offender registry unit so that they will have our map and our ordinance on file. So if a sex offender, even a homeless sex offender, would try and register with 10,500 or 10,400 Reading as their address, the sheriff's office would stop them from establishing residence there. And if anybody just happened to show up, we would have an enforceable ordinance to address that. So that's sort of the how this came about. I do have copies of the map because we had to generate a map which shows restricted areas, and I'll pass these out, but in general terms, it probably encompasses about half of Evendale's residential neighborhoods as they are today, so.
Chief, can you, because I know it's a concern for many people, share the current status of this person from Michigan and what's going on with that individual?
The last we saw, I guess, was a week ago, Monday or Tuesday. Last seen heading south on Reading Road with all his bags. He had about 5 or 6 bags with him, about 8 or 9 o'clock that night. We have not seen him since then. So pretty confident he's moved on. We used every legal means that we had available to contact him. We offered him a number of homeless resources to find shelter. He declined all those. We informed him of his duty to register with the sheriff's office within 3 days and offered to transport him to the sheriff's office to do that. He declined that opportunity, and I think we told him that his 3 days was going to be up tomorrow. We'd be there with the sheriff, and he moved on. So,
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you, Chief. Now may I have a motion to suspend the second and third reading of the ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Sextro.
Yes.
Mr. Albrecht.
Yes.
Mr. Putoff.
Yes.
Ms. McDaniel.
Yes.
Ms. Smiley Robertson.
Yes.
Now may I have a motion to adopt the emergency clause of the ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Smiley Robertson.
Yes.
Mr. Albrecht.
Yes.
Mr. Sextro.
Yes.
Mr. Putoff.
Yes.
Ms. McDaniel.
Yes.
May I have a motion to adopt the ordinance as an emergency?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Smiley Robertson.
Yes.
Ms. McDaniel.
Yes.
Mr. Putoff.
Yes.
Mr. Sextro.
Yes.
Mr. Albrecht.
Yes.
I now declare ordinance 23-31 adopted as an emergency. Next, we have ordinance 23-32. I'd like permission to read it by title only.
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Smiley Robertson.
Yes.
Mr. Albrecht.
Yes.
Mr. Sextro.
Yes.
Mr. Putoff.
Yes.
Ms. McDaniel.
Yes.
Ordinance promoting firefighter-EMT Peyton Ogle to the firefighter-paramedic of Evendale Fire Department and declaring it as an emergency. This is the gentleman that Councilwoman talked about earlier. May I have a motion to suspend the second and third reading of the ordinance?
So move.
Second.
Mr. Putoff.
Yes.
Mr. Sextro.
Yes.
Ms. McDaniel.
Yes.
Ms. Smiley Robertson.
Yes.
Mr. Albrecht.
Yes.
May I have a motion to adopt the emergency clause of the ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Smiley Robertson.
Yes.
Mr. Sextro.
Yes.
Mr. Putoff.
Yes.
Ms. McDaniel.
Yes.
Mr. Albrecht.
Yes.
Now may I have a motion to adopt the ordinance as an emergency?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Smiley Robertson?
Yes.
Mr. Putoff?
Yes.
Ms. McDaniel?
Yes.
Mr. Sextro?
Yes.
Mr. Albrecht?
Yes.
I now declare ordinance 23-32 adopted as an emergency. Next is ordinance 23-33. I need a motion to read it by title only.
So moved.
Second.
Ms. McDaniel?
Yes.
Mr. Sextro?
Yes.
Mr. Putoff?
Yes.
Ms. Smiley Robertson?
Yes.
Mr. Albrecht?
Yes.
An ordinance approving transfers from the contingency fund to various departments and declaring it as an emergency. May I have a motion to suspend the second and third reading of the ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Sextro?
Yes.
Mr. Albrecht?
Yes.
Mr. Putoff?
Yes.
Ms. McDaniel?
Yes.
Ms. Smiley Robertson?
Yes.
May I have a motion to adopt the emergency clause of the ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. McDaniel?
Yes.
Mr. Sextro?
Yes.
Mr. Putoff?
Yes.
Smiley Robertson?
Yes.
Mr. Albrecht?
Yes.
I have a motion to adopt the ordinance as an emergency.
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Smiley Robertson?
Yes.
Mr. Albrecht?
Yes.
Mr. Sextro?
Yes.
Putoff?
Yes.
Ms. McDaniel?
Yes.
I now declare ordinance 23-33 adopted as an emergency. Next is ordinance 23-34, and I'd like permission to read it by title only.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Putoff?
Yes.
Ms. McDaniel?
Yes.
Mr. Sextro?
I think there's an error in the ordinance.
Which one?
It says 2234 versus 2324. It has 2023 versus 2024.
Okay, so look on your ordinance, it is correct on your ordinance.
Okay.
It's been
It
corrected.
has been corrected,
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
thank you.
So moved.
I'm sorry, I don't know where we were.
We're calling the roll on
Okay.
reading by title.
Okay,
reading
I'm
the
just going to
ordinance.
start again. Mr. Putoff?
Yes.
Ms. McDaniel?
Yes.
Mr. Sextro?
Yes.
Ms. Smiley Robertson?
Yes.
Mr. Albrecht?
Yes.
An ordinance approving 2023 tax budget of the Village of Evendale and declaring it as an emergency. They have to do this every year for the County of Hamilton. May I have a motion to suspend the second and third reading of the ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Smiley Robertson?
Yes.
Mr. Albrecht?
Yes.
Mr. Sextro?
Yes.
Mr. Putoff?
Yes.
Ms. McDaniel?
Yes.
Now I need a motion to adopt the emergency clause of the ordinance.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Sextro?
Yes.
Ms. McDaniel?
Yes.
Mr. Putoff?
Yes.
Ms. Smiley Robertson?
Yes.
Mr. Albrecht?
Yes.
Now I need a motion to adopt the ordinance as an emergency.
So moved.
Ms. Smiley Robertson?
Yes.
I need a second.
Second.
Ms. McDaniel?
Yes.
Mr. Sextro?
Yes.
Mr. Putoff?
Yes.
Mr. Albrecht?
Yes.
I now declare ordinance 23-34 adopted as an emergency. Next, we have ordinance 23-35, and I need permission to read it by title only.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Sextro?
Yes.
Mr. Albrecht?
Yes.
Ms. Smiley Robertson?
Yes.
Mr. Putoff?
Yes.
Ms. McDaniel?
Yes.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to hire seasonal employees and setting pay rates and declaring it as an emergency. May I have a motion to suspend the second and third reading of the ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Smiley Robertson?
Yes.
Mr. Putoff?
Yes.
Mr. Sextro? Ms.
Yes.
McDaniel?
Yes.
Mr. Albrecht?
Yes.
May I have a motion to suspend the second and third reading of the ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
Didn't we just do that?
Oh, I'm sorry. Then I need a motion to adopt the emergency clause of the ordinance.
Also so moved.
Also second.
Mr. Albrecht?
Yes.
Mr. Sextro?
Yes.
Mr. Putoff?
Yes.
Ms. McDaniel? Ms.
Yes.
Smiley Robertson?
Yes.
Now I need a motion to adopt the ordinance as an emergency.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Putoff?
Yes.
Mr. Albrecht? Ms.
Yes.
Smiley Robertson?
Yes.
Mr. Sextro?
Yes.
Ms. McDaniel?
Yes.
I now declare ordinance 23-35 adopted as an emergency. Next is 23-36. I'd like permission to read it by title only.
So moved.
Second?
Ms. McDaniel?
Yes.
Mr. Sextro?
Yes.
Mr. Putoff?
Yes.
Ms. Smiley Robertson?
Yes.
And Mr. Albrecht.
Yes.
Ordinance authorizing the mayor to hire Jeannie Hayes as a part-time child care attendant for the Recreation Department, declaring it as an emergency. I have a motion to suspend the second and third readings of the ordinance.
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Smiley Robertson?
Yes.
Ms. McDaniel?
Yes.
Mr. Putoff?
Yes.
Mr. Sextro?
Yes.
Mr. Albrecht.
Yes.
I need a motion to adopt the emergency clause of the ordinance.
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Smiley Robertson?
Yes.
Mr. Albrecht.
Yes.
Mr. Sextro?
Yes.
Mr. Putoff?
Yes.
Ms. McDaniel?
Yes.
Now we need the ordinance to adopt, a motion to adopt the ordinance as an emergency.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Sextro?
Yes.
Ms. McDaniel?
Yes.
Mr. Putoff?
Yes.
Ms. Smiley Robertson?
Yes.
Mr. Albrecht.
Yes.
I now declare ordinance 23-36 adopted as an emergency. Next is ordinance 23-37. I'd like permission to read it by title only.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Putoff?
Yes.
Mr. Albrecht.
Yes.
Mr. Sextro?
Yes.
Ms. McDaniel?
Yes.
Ms. Smiley Robertson?
Yes.
An ordinance authorizing the payment of amounts due upon certain contracts requiring certification of availability of funds and declaring it as an emergency. I'd like a motion to read it to suspend the second and third reading of the ordinance.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Putoff?
Yes.
Mr. Albrecht.
Yes.
Mr. Sextro?
Yes.
Ms. McDaniel?
Yes.
Ms. Smiley Robertson?
Yes.
Now I need a motion to adopt the emergency clause of the ordinance.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Sextro?
Yes.
Mr. Albrecht.
Yes.
Mr. Putoff?
Yes.
Ms. McDaniel?
Yes.
Ms. Smiley Robertson?
Yes.
Mr. Albrecht.
Yes.
Now I need a motion to adopt the ordinance as an emergency.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Putoff?
Yes.
Mr. Albrecht.
Yes.
Ms. Smiley Robertson?
Yes.
Mr. Sextro?
Yes.
Ms. McDaniel?
Yes.
I now declare ordinance 23-37 adopted as an emergency. Next is 23-38. I'd like permission to read it by title only.
Mayor, before we do that, I think we have to amend the ordinance, section 1, to say KZF and General Tool Corporation.
Okay.
So moved.
We need to amend section 3 for the bond amount is $170,000.
I think our,
Let's read in title only, do that vote, and then we'll do the amendment motion.
Okay.
so may I have permission to read it by title only?
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Putoff?
Yes.
Mr. Sextro?
Yes.
Ms. McDaniel?
Yes.
Ms. Smiley Robertson?
Yes.
Mr. Albrecht.
Yes.
Ordinance approving water management and sedimentation control plans for General Tool Corporation and authorizing the building commissioner to issue permit and declaring it as an emergency. Now, who made the motion?
I made the motion to amend.
Councilperson?
I need a second.
So,
Second?
let's be sure, so the
What is
motion,
the amendment?
the motion would be to, in section 1, change Miller Valentine to KZF,
Yep.
change Kinetic Vision to General Tool, and then under section 3, complete the blank to be $170,000.
Is that your motion?
Yes.
Okay,
Second.
okay.
Ms. Smiley Robertson?
Yes.
Mr. Putoff?
Yes.
Mr. Sextro?
Yes.
Ms. McDaniel?
Yes.
Mr. Albrecht.
Yes.
Okay. Now may I have a motion to suspend the second and third reading of the ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Smiley Robertson?
Yes.
Mr. Albrecht.
Yes.
Mr. Sextro?
Yes.
Putoff?
Yes.
Ms. McDaniel?
Yes.
Now I need a motion to adopt the emergency clause of the ordinance.
So moved.
Second?
Ms. McDaniel?
Yes.
Mr. Sextro?
Yes.
Mr. Putoff?
Yes.
Ms. Smiley Robertson?
Yes.
Mr. Albrecht.
Yes.
Now I need a motion to adopt the ordinance as an emergency.
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Putoff?
Yes.
Mr. Sextro?
Yes.
Ms. McDaniel? Ms.
Yes.
Smiley Robertson?
Yes.
Mr. Albrecht.
Yes.
I now declare ordinance 23-38 adopted as amended. Next is ordinance 23-39. I'd like permission to read it by title only.
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Smiley Robertson?
Yes.
Mr. Albrecht?
Yes.
Mr. Sextro?
yes,
Putoff?
Yes.
Ms. McDaniel?
Yes.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with the Ohio Plan Risk Management, Inc. to provide property and liability insurance with the assistance of Highland Administrative Services for the village of Evendale and declaring it as an emergency. This is our annual insurance for the village plan. May I have a motion to suspend the second and third reading of the ordinance?
so moved,
Second.
Mr. Sextro?
yes,
Mr. Albrecht?
Yes.
Mr. Putoff?
Yes.
Ms. McDaniel?
Yes.
Ms. Smiley Robertson?
Yes.
Now I need a motion to adopt the emergency clause of the ordinance.
So moved.
second,
Ms. Smiley Robertson?
Yes.
Mr. Sextro?
yes,
Mr. Putoff?
Yes.
Ms. McDaniel?
Yes.
Mr. Albrecht?
Yes.
Now I need an ordinance adopting the ordinance. I need a motion adopting the ordinance as an emergency.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Putoff?
Yes.
Mr. Albrecht? Ms.
Yes.
Smiley Robertson?
Yes.
Mr. Sextro?
yes,
Ms. McDaniel?
Yes.
I now declare ordinance 23-39 adopted as an emergency. Next, we have resolution 23-02. I'd like permission to read it by title only.
so moved,
Second.
Mr. Sextro?
yes,
Mr. Albrecht?
Yes.
Ms. Smiley Robertson?
Yes.
Mr. Putoff?
Yes.
Ms. McDaniel?
Yes.
A resolution approving the update of the solid waste management plan of the Hamilton County Solid Waste Management District. I need a motion to adopt to suspend the second and third reading of the resolution.
so moved,
Second.
Mr. Sextro?
yes,
Mr. Albrecht?
Yes.
Ms. Smiley Robertson?
Yes.
Mr. Putoff?
Yes.
Ms. McDaniel?
Yes.
Now I need a motion to adopt the emergency clause of the ordinance, of the resolution.
So moved.
second,
Ms. Smiley Robertson?
Yes.
Mr. Sextro?
yes,
Putoff?
Yes.
Ms. McDaniel?
Yes.
And Mr. Albrecht?
Yes.
I now need a motion to adopt the ordinance as an emergency.
so moved,
for the resolution,
Yes.
we don't need
It doesn't have an emergency clause, does it?
Correct.
Forget
It
it?
has,
Okay, we're good.
it has emergency in section 2. References emergency.
Yeah, there's an emergency in there.
Does have an emergency, so it does not have the emergency clause.
It's not in the title, but it is in the body of the
Section
resolution.
3, yeah.
It does not need, I guess, since we have that in there, just as a formality, it'd be okay to complete that vote.
Okay,
Can I have a second of that then?
Second.
Mr. Sextro?
yes,
Mr. Putoff?
Yes.
Ms. McDaniel?
Yes.
Ms. Smiley Robertson?
Yes.
Mr. Albrecht?
Yes.
I now declare resolution 23-02 adopted. That being all of the business on my agenda, is there?
Mayor, I may have one. James, for the construction, what is it called again? The manager at risk provision. We may have one more thing.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry.
With the committee appointment.
Yeah, we need just a voice vote of
Okay.
approving that committee.
Yeah, the mayor had discussed the process for the appointment of the committee for the construction bid process. And the statute's somewhat vague in what it says the approval is. So just to complete that formality and make sure that that committee is sanctioned, we think it'd be better to have a voice vote on the committee recommended by the mayor.
So may I have a motion approving the committee?
So moved.
second,
Mr. Albrecht.
Yes.
Mr. Sextro.
Yes.
Ms. McDaniel.
Yes.
Mr. Putoff.
Yes.
Ms. Smiley Robertson.
Yes.
That being everything I have to come before council tonight, is there any additions, corrections, or changes? May I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Ms. Smiley Robertson.
Yes.
Mr. Albrecht.
Yes.
Ms. McDaniel.
Yes.
Mr. Putoff.
Yes.
Mr. Sextro.
Yes.
Meeting adjourned.